Hi, you are welcome to Olives. In today's tutorial, I will be sharing with you draft. You are definitely welcome once again to this channel. Do stay tuned and keep on learning with Olives. Let's get right into this video. I'll begin with my pattern paper, and this is how it looks like. I have folded part of the pattern inward, and this side is going to be for my front. So what I'm trying to say is the two sides of my front are not equal. One side is different from the other. Okay, so to draft the main front, we need the full front, not the half. I'll be working with a bust measurement of 36.5 inches, and dividing this by 2 is 8.25. I'll go ahead to add an extra 1 inch, and this measurement will just be for half of the front and half of the back. I'll go ahead and mark this 19.25 inches across and put all the points into a straight line. So now this line becomes my center back. Okay, and now I'm going to divide from this point to the other side here. I'll divide it into 2 and also mark this point across. So whatever I have in this section is the same as here. All right, so I'll put this point again into a straight line, and this line is going to serve as my side. All right, so this side of my pattern will take the front, and here will be the back. So whatever we have here is the scale, that is using the widest part of your measurement for your main drafting. Okay, so the widest part of my bodice is my bust. Okay, so which is why I use my bust. So if your waist is bigger, you use your waist. So that is my center back, and here will be my center front. Remember I said the front is asymmetric, right? Now before I folded whatever I have beneath my paper, I made sure to divide my bust into 4 equal parts, and I just added an extra 1 to 1.5 inch just for safety reasons, and that is what I did before I started all my markings. Okay, so you could see that it is more than the actual half front that we have. So I'll go back and fold it again. So now I have just half of my front and half of my back. What I will do is that after drafting just my front, I'm going to make a reflection on it to the other side to have a full front. But for now, we will just focus on the front, half of the front and then half of the back. Okay, so this is my shoulder line as well as my starting point. I'll go ahead to mark my shoulder to chest. To calculate your shoulder to chest, you divide your round bust by 6 inches, and then you add 1.5 inches to that. Now we usually need 1 inch for shoulder slope, so we are going to add that extra 1 inch to whatever result from the first calculation. Okay, so mine is going to be 7.5 inches, so I'll go ahead and add 1 inch to that, so my final result will be 8.5 inches. So from my shoulder to my chest will be 8.5 inches, my shoulder to nipple is 9.5 inches, shoulder to underbust 13, and my shoulder to waist is 17 inches. So I'm going to mark all these across the front side. Okay, moving on to the back, I'll mark my shoulder to chest and my shoulder to my back length. My back length is 15 and my front length is 17. So I'm going to make sure that I have all those differences on my back. Okay, so I'll go ahead to mark across. These are all the horizontal lines that I need. Okay, for the front and for the back we just need 2 lines, and as I said, my back has a length of 15 inches and the front is 17, so the difference between the back length and the front length is 2 inches. So this side at the back will be cut off. We do not need it at the back, but we'll need that measurement to contour the front. Okay. All right, so let's start the real business. I'm going to use my shoulder to shoulder measurement or across back and divide that by 2, which is 7.5 inches. It's 15. Okay, so I'll mark the same 7.5 inches at the chest line and connect them together like this. I'll then repeat the same thing on the back from the center back 7.5 inches on the shoulder line as well as the chest line, and still connect them together. I'll then go ahead and mark 3 inches neck width as well as 3 inches neck depth. Connect them together into a neckline, of course with my armhole curve. I'll drop down from the shoulder by 1 inch as shoulder slope. Connect that 1 inch to the neck width. Divide this distance, which is 7.5 inches, into 2. All right, I'll go in from that center line by 3/4 inch. Connect that 3/4 inch line to the shoulder slope. I'll divide my bust into 4, okay, and I'll go ahead, it is 9.1. I'll go ahead to add an extra ½ inch. There will be an excess taken off while working around the top dart, so I just added ½ inch to replace that. Okay, I'll go ahead and connect my armhole together like this. I'll go ahead to mark 3 inches neck width and 1 inch neck depth for the back neckline and connect it. Drop by 1 inch shoulder slope, connect it to the neck width. I'll do the same thing I just did for the front, marking the midpoint of the distance, and on this midpoint I'll just use ½ inch for the back, connect it to the shoulder slope. Before we continue, I'll mark ½ inch in from the waistline of the back, and around the midpoint here I'll go ahead and tighten my center back. All right, and there'll be an intake after taking off that ½ inch around the chest line. Okay, so I want to mark that before I actually mark my bust measurement. Okay, so right from that point, which is my new center back, I'll input 1/4 of my bust right there. All right, so from here like this, I'll place my tape from that green line and mark 1/4 of my bust without a ½ inch like the front. All right, now I'll go ahead again and connect my armhole together. Moving on, I'll move to the waist. My waist is 30 inches quarter, or my waist divided by 4 is 7.5 inches. Okay, I'll then add an extra 1 inch for that and connect this point to the chest line. Now from the old or initial center back, I'll mark my nipple to nipple measurement 4 inches and mark 1 inch on both sides as that. I'll mark the same 4 inches up here and connect my dart legs together. For now, we are through with the back. Okay, now moving on to the front. On the waistline of the front, I'll be using a total dart of 1.5 inches. So 1/4 of my waist is 7.5 inches. Then I'll go ahead and add an extra 1.5 inch. Connect it this way. Now I'll mark the same 4 inches I marked on the back from the center front, and then above on the nipple point 4 inches, and half of 1.5 inch is 3/4 inch. So I'll mark 3/4 inch on both sides and connect all my dart legs together. So here is what it looks like with my 1.5 inch dart. You can also use 1 inch. Okay, with the style we are working with, one side is higher than the other. Okay, there is a high and there is a low, so I'm going to mention the high as the height, okay, and the low will be the depth. Okay, so for the depth of my neckline, I'll use 7 inches. You may use 6.5 inches or even 6 inches. Okay, and my height will be 5 inches. You can go higher, okay, as high as you want, but this is what I am working with. Okay, so here is the height. which will be the pointed one, and here is the depth. I'll then go ahead and measure my shoulder width, divide that into two, just find the midpoint and connect the midpoint to the nipple point like this. And right here as well, we are going to contour the top part so it does not gape. I'm going to use exactly 1.5 inch, half inch, and then 1 inch. Moving on to my underbust, my round underbust measurement is 31 inches, and dividing that into 4, I have 7 3/4 inch. So I'm going to take my tape this way, measure from the center front to the first dart leg like this, and wherever the first dart leg here ends, I'm going to mark it. And on my tape, I'll continue from that point on the other dart leg and mark my 7.75 inches, or my 7 3/4 inch. All right, so I'm going to take my tape from where my underbust measurement ends to my side seam, and whatever results I have, which is 3/4 inch, I'm going to mark 1/4 inch towards the center front and mark the rest, which is half inch, towards the side of my dart leg. So what we just did now is using the excess from our underbust measurement as a contour. Okay, we use that excess to contour. Contouring also means tightening, so we just tightened our underbust. Okay, so I'm going to connect from my underbust, that's from the underbust tightening measurement, to meet my nipple points like this. I'll then connect again from my underbust to meet my waist dart. Whatever I just did from this side, I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll connect again from the underbust to this side on my waistline. Like I said before, the length of my back bodice is different from the length of my front bodice, and the difference is 2 inches. Okay, now you can see that both sides are not going to meet unless we do something. So we are going to use this 2 inches difference to create a dart right at the side front, and this is called an underarm dart. Okay, so I've marked that 2 inches, and I'm going to connect from that 2 inches to my nipple point this way, and here becomes a dart. Okay, we are going to close it later, so I'll go ahead and mark across the dart this way to indicate that it will be closed. Okay, by the time we close the underarm dart, the sides would also meet. At this point, I'll go ahead and transfer everything on the front bodice with my tracing wheel so it reflects on the other side. So after tracing, this is how the other side, which is folded inward, this is how it looks like. And I'm just going to follow with my curve and straight line and bring out all my lines. After all done, these are all my lines transferred to the other side. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut off the top excess, but I will leave about 1.5 to 2 inches extra paper above that, just like this. And this side is going to be my right, and here will also be my left side. It's good to note all of that so there will be no confusion. Okay, so the right side will be the higher side, which is the height, and the left will be the off part, if that makes sense. Okay, so since I have the top part left, I'm going to extend this dart this way. I'll repeat the same thing here. Now I'll go ahead and cut. So this way I'll be able to close the side dart, which is the underarm dart. So I'll grab from one end, just press it nicely and fold it to the top this way. Then I've closed my dart. I'll go ahead and put a paper beneath After closing the dart, there will definitely be a shortage, so I'll tape it down with the excess and connect with a straight ruler to the armhole area. I'll do the same thing to the other side. At a pointed part, I'm just going to use my armhole curve to take out that excess around the bust area. It's important to do this, otherwise it will take an effect on your final result. Okay, so I went ahead to close the two underarm darts, and this is how it looks like. I'm still going to go ahead and grab my tape, sellotape. I'll tape right from the beginning to at least the bust point and stop right there. Then I'll go ahead and join them together, at least from the starting point to the bust point. I'll repeat the same thing to this other side. So now this way we have them together like an actual top, and now we can foresee how we want our height to look like. That's the most important part, right? So right from the armhole area, that is where I would like to begin mine. You can as well go in from the armhole by 1 inch or half inch, but mind you, if you go in by any of that, your boobs will show, so make sure you do what you prefer. Okay, I'm going to maintain my armhole and go up from there by half inch. If you want it very pointed and higher, you can as well measure, say, 1 inch, 1.5 to 2 inches. Okay, my depth remains the same. I'm going to maintain my depth, which is 7 inches. Then I'll connect from that half inch, which is the right side, down to the left side with my hip curve this way. Okay, so that is how my shape looks like. The tip to curve this neckline is by using the slight curve of your hip curve, okay, or any curve of your choice. Just make sure you use the slight curved part to connect. Okay, if you use the deep part, then you are going to have a deep curve, but what we just want is a slight curve, making sure all the points are connected nicely. Preferably, you can maintain your armhole curve just as it is, or you take a curve and connect from your side to meet this pointed area this way. So this way as well, you are trying to cover your boobs so it doesn't show so well, but I'm going to maintain the armhole curve this way. Yeah, I'll maintain it this way, and the other side I'll connect to my side seam just as shown. You can also connect with a straight line. So all we need is for our curve to look good. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut any excess out. That is it for this tutorial, but I went ahead to increase the height of my armhole curve. I went up right from my chest line where my armhole started. I marked up half inch. This way I'll have a higher armhole. Okay, this is just optional. I feel my armpit will show more, so just increasing the height will help. So I went ahead to increase that. If you want to do this, then do that directly while drafting. Okay, so I'll go ahead and reconnect. And one thing is, since I'm increasing the side and as well as my armhole, is going to also affect my back. All right, so since my taste has changed, it has to also affect the back. Okay, comparing these two sides, they end meeting, but that is not an issue. I'm going to maintain the off shoulder side because that place is going to tighten me so well, but it's going to also affect the back. So I'm going to match them together and add up that half inch on the back. Okay, then I'll use that as the length of my back. The back becomes an off shoulder as well. So since I have this, it means that the back is also going to be kind of asymmetric. So what I'm going to do is to use the excess of the top, okay, fold it in so I can duplicate and transfer all the important lines on the back onto the other side to get one other side of the back, so I can do all my adjustments. Okay, so in case you're a bit confused, all I just did is to duplicate the back. Okay, since I've raised one side of my front, I have to also make sure that the side of the back that will match the front should align. Okay, and the other one that will also match the off shoulder side should also align. I did not raise the left side of my front by ½ inch, just the right side. Okay, so this is the right side and it aligns so well. Okay, and the left side as well has to align. All right, and at the end, the center back of both bags have to also meet, especially the zipper extension. All right, so I'm going to extend my dart a bit this way up here so I can easily close my back dart. I do not want to sew that or let me say I do not want to have a seam line on my back, so I just went ahead to close both of them. So this is the left side of my back and the other is the right side. So at this point, if you want your center back to be deeper, you can use your curve or straight ruler to connect, but make sure they all meet at the side nicely. Okay, but I'm just going to take off a little excess at the top part of my back, not so much. So you can see that the right side of both my front and back aligns well, and the left side of both my front and back aligns well, and this is what I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and connect them and be sure that I have done everything right. After closing the dart, we have a little pointed part at the top here. I'm just going to take that excess off and just maintain the usual neckline for the back. Okay, so again, if you want your neckline to be deeper, make sure you do so, but make sure whatever you do, it connects nicely into the side. Do not tamper with your side seam. Okay, so here is my back, nicely done. But if you do not want to raise your side like I did, all you have to do is to just make one copy, just like we drafted of the back, and just cut two. But for me, I'm going to cut one each of all my patterns. Okay, in the next part of this tutorial, we will be working on how to sew them together, so turn on your notification bell to be notified. Thank you so much for watching and learning with Olives. I will see you in the next one.